Um, Welcome to the video. My name is Chang, and in today's video I thought I'd go ahead and explain how you would go about and build some really nice crimp strength, especially if you're not so good at crimping though you've been climbing for a while. Without any further ado, here's how I did it in the past couple of weeks, which really leveled up my climbing. Woohoo! And let's get into it. So first off, you're going to need some form of a wall of the spray variety. Now this could be a kilter, a moon, a tension, does not matter. You're gonna take a climb that doesn't exist because it's inside your head and you're gonna have to make it up. The great thing about these type of spray walls, and again, doesn't need to be a spray wall, moon board, kilter, etc., tension board, whatever, a systems board, it just needs to be a board that you have the ability and creativity to create a climb of your own, because it's a lot like working out. You can't choose a weight that someone has made for you, aka a climb someone has made for you, in order for you to create a climb that's perfect for you to help facilitate the needs of your fingers. For me personally, I realized I had a weakness in my ability to hold small things, and therefore I use money to go help solve my problem by purchasing these tiny little crimpers right here that I am showing you. And using these tiny little crimpers all right here, I then went ahead and concocted a climb that was just hitting all of my weaknesses, or the things I wanted to make stronger. In this case, that crimping power. And so the first thing is you're gonna create a climb where all the holds are the holds you want to work on. And I highly recommend it. It's not like you try to separate it at all. No, keep it all close. If you want to work crimps, select crimps that you're bad at and make sure the whole climb consists of nothing but literally that one particular hold. I went ahead and created a climb that had about 10 to 15 hand movements for the crimps. I did add it on a little bit more once I completed that one, but that's for a different video later on, whatever. Point was, every single hand movement I made went to a hold that I wasn't very good at. Now, what is that gonna do? Obviously, that's gonna introduce you to something you're not good at a lot of times. The more times you hold on to a particular type of hold, believe it or not, the more comfortable you will actually become holding that type of hold. As strange as that may seem, but it is very applicable. You don't necessarily have to get stronger, because my fingers, they didn't necessarily get stronger. I could test it on the Beastmaker middle edge, and I'm about right the same as before I did all this training. However, when I'm actually on the wall, and when it's time to actually apply the strength, what is more specific for holding on to shitty crimps than actually climbing on shitty crimps? Which brings us next to, when you go ahead and you set your climb, you have to make sure that the limiting factor isn't the distance, because we're working on hand, not body, right? If we want to do body type movements, then we'll set that. But if we just want to work grip type, so we want to make sure that the thing that's holding us back isn't the reach, but the actual ability for us to hold each hold. As you look at this climb that I set, or when you set a climb, each move should be within your wheelhouse. It literally does not even matter how far apart it is. It could literally be, I'm actually working on a new climb that the move is, it's actually pretty funny. Let me show you. So I'm on these two holds right here, and the move is to go literally right here. It's like here, here. That move right there is like a one move 6/7. Very hard, but as you can tell, the distance is so small, but the holds themselves are complete dog shit. And that's what makes the climb difficult. Not the distance, but the ability to land on it properly and the ability to hold it. Therefore, all the moves you set for your new climb should be in like a smaller box than you're used to. That way you can just really focus on reaching, hitting it, cranking, reaching, hit it, cranking. And again, the more times you're able to actually bring your hand over a hold and actually crank down on it, the more comfortable you're going to get into it. Side note, the only particular problem with trying to do this with climbs that are already pre-made is because a lot of these pre-made climbs, like I said at the beginning of the video, aren't made for you to get better. They're just climbs that if you climb, you can get better, but they're not specifically designed for you to get better. It's gonna be hard for you to get better on them. Like a good climb could be really good, but it might have a pinch in there for some odd reason, and you're like, I'm only really working on crimps, so why am I doing a climb that has a single pinch in it? Unnecessarily, get rid of it. Make your own climb. Make sure all the moves are close and doable. Next, when it comes to the difficulty of these moves, we have to make sure it's at a difficulty that is really hard so that you're actually getting the training that you need. Because even though all these holds are really small, if each move is only V1 or V2, and let's say you climb V7, it's not gonna help you train that much. In weightlifting, powerlifting, picking shit up and putting it back down, there is a percentage. For example, if your 1 rep max is 225 pounds on the bench press, then you want to train within that 80 to 90% zone or 70 to 80% zone, depending on what you want. And there's no difference when it comes to climbing. Chang, me, for the example, I believe given enough time, I could do a 1 move V8 move, like a 1 move V8, given enough time. However, if all these moves or even one of these moves is a 1 move V8, that's just gonna stop me. A stopper move is not what we want to have when we're training. We want to be able to do every single move within like a reasonable amount of time. For example, like within 3 sessions, you should be able to do all the moves, or within 2 sessions, you should be able to do all the moves. And the difficulty should be linking them all together, not one in particular move. So for me, my moves, there's no move that's easier than V4, except for like the first one and the last move. And then everything else is within that V5 to V6, maybe 1 V7 difficulty. And that right there hits me about that 70 to 90% range of my 1 rep max. And while climbing in that good amount of range, just like weightlifting, right? It's more or less the exact same thing. I'm able to actually get in enough volume because I could hit this for reps. Even if I can't do the full line, when you're training on your problem, it's not about doing the full line. It's about doing as many moves as you can. So if I can't do the first part, maybe I could do the middle part. If I can't do the middle, maybe I could do the end. And then I'll just recycle, rinse, and repeat until I feel good enough to actually complete it all at once, which is an awesome feeling. And so this whole percentage thing is very important, all right? This next thing might be a little bit hard to comprehend, but once you finish your climb, like once you're able to send it, because I reckon you'll be able to send it within less than, real quick, when we're working on this climb, it's gonna be 1 climb, all right? 1 climb, don't try to change it up. Because it's a training problem, it's also a benchmark problem. So it's something that you have to return to time after time after time. Eventually, once you get it, after anywhere between 3, 5, 10 sessions, give or take, add on to it. That is the important thing. There is something to be said about being able to do a hard climb once, and then being able to do a hard climb 30 more times after you've done it once in the next month or so. Let me tell you my story real quick, all right? Chang, this guy, sucks at crimps. He made a V10 crimp problem going this way. It took him 3 sessions to do it. I was extremely proud. During this whole process, Chang, his fingers, oh my God, they have never been so strained in their life before because he was never used to these really small crimps. All right, cool, awesome. After those 3 sessions, which by the way, were 3 strong sessions, right? Because I climbed 3 days on, 1 day off. So that took me about a week and a half to do because I only climbed on my strong day. After those 3 sessions, I added on like a V7 going all the way back here. It then took me another 10, 11, maybe 12 sessions to link it all together. What does that mean? It means without doubt, undoubtedly, my fingers have definitively gotten stronger and better at these really small type of holds. I went from struggling to do the V10 coming this way for about 3 sessions. And then after that, I kept working on it. And in some session, I would be able to repeat the whole thing, which still felt great. In the other session, I was unable to repeat it. Sure, my body got better at the movement, but there was no question that my fingers definitely got more used to the hold. Now, whether you're better at holding a hold because you're stronger now, or you're better at holding a hold because your body is used to it, at the end of the day, the result is the same. You're better at holding small holds. And because I added a V7 coming back and I kept working on it, think of it as just going to the gym and trying to 1 rep max a certain weight that you haven't got to. Let's say for bench press it's 225, and you keep trying 225 once every week. And after 12 weeks, you finally manage to do it. Yay, yippee. And then you continue to press 225, that same 225 over and over and over and over again. Some days you're able to do it, other days you can't. However, eventually you're able to add on another 5 pounds. That's now 230 pounds, and so on and so forth. For climbing, because the big problem with climbing is, typically speaking, after somebody does a climb, they never repeat it again. And climbing progress is not linear, so sometimes you do a really hard climb, next day, couple days, you're like, I feel like shit, I wonder why. And unless you go back to a benchmark climb that you have benchmark, it's really hard to test yourself. However, if you create a climb just for you, designed for you to train your fingies, and then you're able to go back to it, you're able to climb the same thing, and you're actually able to see your progress as time progresses, because it's the exact same climb. And once you do the climb, and you're able to repeat that climb afterwards for multiple attempts on the same day, it's even more awesome. The first time I did this problem, I was only able to do it once. I came back a couple sessions later, I was able to do like 3 or 4 times in one session. Awesome. And then I had a couple horrible sessions where I couldn't do it for a single time, and I was like, oh no, my progress. But don't be dumb. That's how progress works. It's kind of like up and down. Eventually, 13, 15, 14-ish sessions passed, and I was able to go all the way here, all the way back. It was awesome. And now I'm not saying this is arguably the best way to go ahead and work on your finger strength, because you ask me, I do kind of think that, really. Or just, like, again, it doesn't even have to be crimps. Look, if you're really bad at jugs, or I mean, if you're really bad at like big pinches, it could just be a climb with nothing but big pinches, and you'll experience the same thing. If you're really bad at underclings, just literally set a climb that is nothing but underclings, like 10 undercling moves in a row, and guarantee you're gonna realize and you're gonna become so much better at undercling, because of just the sheer amount of time you spent doing undercling. The sheer amount of time that I spent doing crimps in the past couple of, say, 2-ish months of my climbing career, I'm like, I get it. This is why I sucked at crimps. I never actually climbed on small, shitty crimps, because commercial climbing, they typically don't have that small type of crimps. And even like some board climbing, yeah, that's the video. I don't know if I have anything else more to say to summarize it, because I feel like I forgot something, but who cares? Create a climb for you, made by you, where each of the moves is about 70 to 90% of how hard your 1 rep max of moves that you can do is. Make sure there's about anywhere between, let's say, about 10 hand movements, because you want there to be enough hand movements so that your body's on the wall long enough for you to continuously get that stimulus for your fingers to grow. And make sure that the hard part isn't going to the hold, but holding the hold. And therefore the feet have to be kind of good, and the holds themselves should be kind of compact for your body size at least. You want to do this climb on days where you feel really good. So I recommend your strongest day, you go ahead and you hop on it and you do it. Do it maybe twice a week. That's what I did. Even after you completed the climb, you want to continue climbing it. I recommend adding another climb right behind it. So just making an extension of the climb you already did. For me, I did a 10, I added a 7. Wow, that was hard. If you were climbing V8, add an 8. Do an 8, add a 6 behind it. Something of that nature. And then continue doing it until you're actually or finally or super close to doing it. I will tell you, the results I saw from doing this small little protocol, huge! Wombo! I literally went back to the TB2 and I started crushing climbs that I've never crushed before. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not like this because I've been climbing on the TB2. Now, don't get me wrong, you could do this on TB2 and it'd just be totally fine. But the reason why my crimps felt so good was because I was actually just training on nothing but pure, really bad crimps. I got really used to them. And in that way, I experienced probably my biggest little spurt of climbing growth in a while, just because I became really specific about my hand types. And now I don't want to touch something but really small crimps, because everything else kind of feels like a waste of time. But that's definitely just me overthinking things. And so you can also do this and make yourself a much better climber. Good luck. Now you know.